All right, West Coast Whiskey Club. We want to welcome everybody to our Bardstown Virtual Tasting. We're going to be having drinks tonight with Dan Callaway, our master blender, and you're also the product developer, right? VP of Product
Yep.
Development.
Yep.
All right, please tell us about you.
Awesome. No, thanks for having me. I actually just got back on the East Coast from the West Coast, so spent a little time out your way last week. So yeah, I'm the master blender for Lofted Spirits, which is Bardstown Bourbon Company and Green River Distillery. Coming up on my ninth year there. Just part of an incredible team, and one of my favorite things to do is talk about the bourbon we make. I started in music. I did music my whole life through my 20s, doing orchestra music, and then found my way into bourbon in Kentucky through wine and cocktails, and then met the people in Bardstown and have just been a part of this amazing journey going back to 2016.
How did you get into Bardstown?
Yeah, so I was doing the wine thing. I had left music and was doing the som thing, and I was running a restaurant called Decca that used to be on Market Street. And Joe Heron, the owner of Copper and Kings, would come in there regularly, and he was we would got to know each other. And he said, "You really should meet these guys that are starting Bardstown and building it. I think you guys would hit it off." And I took a night off, visited. We tasted distillate, we talked whiskey, talked flavor, went and got some pizza, and I was sold on the vision. The whole idea of this modern take on what bourbon could be, this idea that's been in our DNA from the beginning to kind of explore, push boundaries, create, was just everything I wanted to do in spirits. And it was just a synergy from day one and never looked back.
Awesome. We had a Green River tasting about what 3, 4 weeks ago, and really good stuff. They mentioned that you're very involved in their blending as well.
Yeah, yeah, I love green. It's the other half of what I do. We were looking at Green River initially for custom distillation. We distill for Bardstown and then also some amazing partner brands, and they were growing, and we were worried we wouldn't be able to grow fast enough with them, and we would have to, say, hey, get some bourbon from somewhere else. So we initially were looking for Green River for the custom distillation capacity, but then realized it was this unicorn gem of a brand, DSP KY10.
Hmm.
So we've been revitalizing that. It's the perfect juxtaposition. If Bardstown is innovation, exploration, Green River is timeless, it's classic. What is coming down the pipeline? So we started with the bourbon, we went with the wheated, then the rye, then the full proof single barrel. We've eight different releases since we started putting things out with them. There's going to be some really cool innovation coming next year out of Green River around the framework of traditional Kentucky, but we're gonna have some fun things coming down the pipeline soon.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to getting out there in April, it sounds like, and seeing both of the properties again.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's a blast, man. Let me know.
yeah. So, going from wine into bourbon, do you have a mentor or who's kind of showing you the path?
Great question. I think I learned a lot about my discipline and repetition and practice through music, right? It's
Oh,
just
okay.
classical music was just in the practice room my whole life, improving a craft. So it was more applying those lessons to wine. So I had some incredible music mentors for most of my life. And then how I learned wine is I found a local community of people that were interested in wine, but more importantly, just wanted to get together and taste wine with each other. And they got me past kind of the fear of embarrassment on blind tasting, right? So everyone, it's the classic wine thing. You show up with a brown bag, everyone brings one. You go around, you pour, and you have to talk about what you're tasting. And if you're willing to be completely humbled and embarrassed in front of your friends, then you will get so much better exponentially because you're going out there, you're putting ideas. I'm a firm believer in blind tasting. So many people start to do it and then they get embarrassed and they stop or it feels uncomfortable. If you can just go in with people that you're willing to take a risk around and blind taste, there's no quicker way to get better at tasting. So that's how I learned flavor. Then obviously like the wine som certifications, all of that to formalize it. And then it was just mentors in bourbon to translate wine character into bourbon character.
All right, great. I
Yeah.
we started pretty similar actually. Todd and I and a bunch of our buddies, we were sitting around doing a lot of blind tastings, and Todd sends out several blind tastings, like about 60 this year. You did.
Something like that.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it's been real positive.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I remember during COVID, people were doing them. It was like Dixon Dedman did, he always did what's in the box or whatever, and it became a thing. And I hope people continue to do it because it's a blast. But yeah, so join the team, Locked In Bourbon, and what I'll say about Bardstown. I know we're going to dive into all the products, but I can't talk about Bardstown without talking about the team. And please, my favorite thing is I know you guys said you're coming in April. I will show you around. You'll meet the people making the products, everyone from the bottling line to the processing team to even we can go in the finance or marketing team. Everyone is just so fired up for this brand, and it's really a culture like none other. It's very cool to see.
We did a pick there back in January, I believe, and it was great. Your tasting room was beautiful, glass looking into the rick house there, and
Oh,
the
it's
team,
awesome.
you're right, they were great. They treated us so well. So thank you very much.
That's awesome. I'm glad you came.
Unfortunately, that pick's already sold out, so we're gonna need to do another one soon.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start off with our first pour tonight. We're gonna start off with the Bardstown Origin bourbon, the
Great.
96 or
Let's do it. So yeah, this I would call this along with the bottle and bond our flagship expression. And so the key here, Bardstown Bourbon Company, we started distilling in September 2016, right? And it was
Mhm,
founded on three core tenets that you're going to see across all these pours: innovation, collaboration, transparency. You'll hear me come back to that all the
mhm,
time. Innovation, most technically advanced. Collaboration, you'll see as we get into the Ferrand and across the building. Transparency is what makes these virtual tastings fun because you can ask me anything about this product, right? And we can talk about it. I saw you hold up the bottle, the recipes right on the side, the
yep,
age statement, the mash bill. So
hmm
no question off limits on this. This is our Origan Series, which is the most important lineup for us. It means it's 100% estate distilled. So
hmm
this aged and bottled right on site, right? 6 year age statement. Fun fact is most core bourbons are aged 4 years in a day, whether it's
hmm
Jim Beam White Label, Evan Williams Black Label, great bourbons, but they go 4 years because any younger than that, you have to put the age statement on. But 2 extra years, 6 years, you get that balance of caramel with the grain, right? Grain and barrel, all the vanilla coming in and can really highlight the grain. It's really important for Bardstown to go those 6 years. The mash bill here, is this anyone's first bourbon of the day on the call?
not mine.
Well, it's early.
Fine.
It's earlier where you are. If it's your first, just do a throwaway sip. And I love highlighting this mash bill. It's 60% corn, 36% rye, 4% barley. It's a very high rye bourbon. Um, when you go to 36 rye, you're going to smell it. It comes through as mint. It'll come through as light bubble gum. But where you're really going to notice it when you take your second sip of this one is about 20 seconds after you sip it. So you take a good sip, let it go, get all that flavor. Obviously, rye has pop personality. It's going to lift up, sizzle a little bit. The sugar is going to dissipate first. So after about 20 seconds, I don't know who on here has a good internal clock, but 20 seconds after that real sip, sugar off the front is going to fade away, and you're going to be left with this grip back here.
Hmm
36% rye has more tannin because inherently the rye grain has more tannin than wheat or corn. And since bourbon comes off the still low, all the grain characteristic comes through the still. So when you have a high rye bourbon, it's going to have the pop and personality to really stand up, but then a long tannic finish that you really feel. So I love this one as a sipper, but I also love it as a premium cocktail. You can do
hmm
a Kentucky Mule with it because it can punch with ginger beer, a Manhattan because it can hang with vermouth, a big Carpano Antica vermouth it can hang with. The last thing I'll say about this one, and any questions, is was the first thing we released. It was a really key moment in our company. We distilled 2016. We're waiting for things to age. We had the Fusion series, the
Mm-hmm.
Discovery series. The whole time we're waiting to have our core product. This is what we came out with. We entered it in International Wine and Spirits competition, and it won Bourbon of the Year, the large international competition, highest scored bourbon. So it's one we're really proud of. The MSRP on this is $44.99. Just a beautiful balance of caramel and rye spice. Cool.
That was a great explanation of the high rye bourbon. I tend to gravitate more toward high rye bourbons. Todd
Yeah.
and I go back and forth on that, but it's one of those things that it seems to hit me just right. So I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Traditionally you might hang at that 10-12% rye, and then high rye is thought of 21, and then this is the
Hmm.
modern high rye bourbon, right? It's only 15 percentage points away from being a rye, but it
Hmm.
really, if you're looking for something with a nice burst of flavor on it, this is the move. And I'm checking the chat. Okay, we're good. Cool.
Hey, Dan, so this is your first uh, release that you distilled and aged the whole way through. So obviously you source from other places. But when we went to the to the distillery, we saw other brands sourced from you. So were they buying your younger juice?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. So we got out of the gate. 2016, we start distilling. And what separated us, what really how we made our mark was being able to make custom bourbon from Kentucky to specialized recipes, right? So this year we'll make 67 different recipes, where most distilleries might make 1 to 5. It's like these partner brands come in and they're the chef using our kitchen, right? So
Hmm.
there's 500 points of production they can determine the yeast, the barrel. We make bourbon out of popcorn for 15 stars, right? So out of the
Wow.
gate, we're distilling for others and then also laying down barrels for ourselves. So that balance started from day one. It also turned our main restaurant area into kind of Grand Central Station for bourbon, where you have all these, 50 plus partner brands coming in talking about how they're creating their products. But so we started laying down, and there's a few that came out at 4 years old, 5 years old. The distillery is now coming up on almost 10 years old. So September of 2026, we'll be at 10 years. So we will have partner brands that we sell and display and are transparent about that we distilled. Maybe they have a 5 year bourbon out on the shelf right now that we laid down for them in 2018.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing if you go into a spirit store and look between our bottling, our distillation, how many of the brands were that you see on the shelf that we're able to partner and support.
So this is your small batch version. How big of a production is this?
That's also a great question. They've increased slightly. We do put the distillation season and year on the side label. So if you look at your bottle, it might say fall 2018 on it, something like that, which would mean it probably came out in fall 2024, spring 2025. We'll put that year on the bottle. Um,
It is
I'd
fall 28 or 2018. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
lucky guess. Um, I would say out of the gate, the 2016 batches were a couple hundred barrels. These get into 300-ish barrel productions. We have had some larger ones. Now we're in almost all 50 states that get into that 500 barrel mix, but our team, we have such an amazing quality team. So myself, a few other people will meet regularly with our quality team, and we have an amazing woman, Noelle, who checks in on all of these lots, and she's constantly doing sensory, and she'll bring it. We'll meet as a group and taste these profiles, and we always kind of want to keep them small to ensure that we can blend around any issues. So if there's a certain area that was only stored on the second floor, maybe we are putting that in other blends and trying to find variety. We don't really rotate barrels, but we store them in all different locations to keep the
Hmm.
consistent flavor profile. And trust me, as someone that's done, my first blend was Discovery number 1. and then doing the origin flavor matching. There's a lot of skill that goes into flavor matching as
Yeah.
opposed to a one-off, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Creating that consistent bourbon that you can expect year after year is probably pretty tough.
Completely. And you think about Green River too, where it doesn't even call out the distillation year on the side. You know, it's more of a call it a Jim Beam approach where that's the bottle and this is consistent for years and you're blending across different size warehouses, different distillation, seasons, everything. And it's a real fun challenge.
Are you dumping at different times of the year, or is that pretty consistent too?
That's a great question again, man. You got him. We tend to empty earlier in the year because our bottling, as brands book a new year, it's easier for us to just fill up the early and we kind of leave the prime time slots for our partner brands because we have our own inventory, we can plan ahead. So a lot of this will get emptied January, February is when we do our larger productions,
All right.
which means I'm in the middle of it right now. We are
Okay.
we are doing it.
Well, let's move on to our second pour. That's going to be
Yeah.
our Origin bourbon bottle and bond.
Yeah, this is the perfect juxtaposition to the white label, right?
Mhm.
And I'll taste these with people across the country. It's amazing. It's always split. So I'm curious to know how things are going on the West Coast. If you're a Origin white label bourbon fan, which has the high rye content, or
Mhm.
an Origin black label bottled in bond. So the black label bottled in bond is really important for us. It's 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malted barley. Easiest way to
Mm.
remember it, wheat is sweet, rye is dry. So wheat is a passive grain and it lets all the other flavors through. It's about dinner time, right? Say you queued
Mhm.
up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you made it on wheat bread. Wheat is going to let all the other flavors come through and it's going to support them. If you make it on rye bread, rye is a bully and it's going to dominate the flavor. You will know you have it on rye bread. So it's a very large difference in that grain. The wheated profile, you get a little more citrus, a little more lemon, a little, honestly, to me, a little more of the grain comes through. But then it really highlights the barrel character as well. And then on the palate, where the white label has a little more spice, the black label is going to be an easy, smoother liftoff.
I agree with that. This is a little more cherry, a little more apple to it. Um, it's interesting. What do you think, Todd?
Yeah, he's right. The rye definitely comes through on the first one. This one is more
Yeah,
yeah, more sweeter and more fruit flavored.
I'm
totally.
lucky to have them side by side. So let's
That's
see.
the best way to taste them too, is next to each other. The proof is interesting because the white label with the high rise is actually 96 proof, and the black label's 100 proof. That's just where they sipped the best. So the black label, since it's 100 proof, can be a bottle and bond.
Hmm.
All these products could be a bottle and bond. It's just proofing them where they tasted the best. And then since this is a nod to our master distiller, Steve Nally, former master distiller of Maker's Mark, amazing individual, employee number one. We highlighted this one as his recipe in the bottled and bond, to kind of be a tribute to him.
Because
Yeah,
Makers is more of a weeded.
Makers is a weeded
Yeah.
profile. If you think about him at Makers, he always made one recipe every day, and this is the recipe, I think, his sign off on the industry and the bourbon he always wanted to make.
Hmm. Hmm. It's interesting asking the question, which one's better? I mean, I think there's a time and place for both of them. I do like that spice profile on the first one. This one is, this one's, I think, easier. Like this is Southern California warm day sipping. I like this.
Totally, you're right. And we love them both, and there's a reason we have both of them, right?
Hmm.
They both have their own purpose. It's always fun to see where people go. It's normally 50-50.
Hey, Tyler, you want to put up a in the chat a little poll to see which one they prefer?
So I saw in the chat the age. So the age is on there. It's on the bottle. It should be aged
6 years.
6 years, 6 years on all of
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
it's called out. Yep.
This is another fall 2018 release.
Yeah. And the
Or
reason we do that is again, we want to show that we're really going 2 years past the standard,
Mhm.
where most brands will go 4 years, and it's to get that balance of grain and barrel. The reason most brands don't is it's more expensive. In
Mhm.
Kentucky, the barrels are taxed every year, right? And then also your liquid is evaporating. So every year your product, you have less and less product. So normally you just want to turn it around and get it out, but we want to wait a little longer and get the flavor in balance.
Are you temperature controlling your warehouses at all, or?
No, we're not. It's an interesting one too. It's something we think about and weigh, but we can do so much with the seasonality of the warehouse. There's about a 25-degree difference between the first floor and the top floor. And if we can get barrels in the appropriate locations and blend that way, the one kind of temperature control thing we do is I love the experiments we're doing with glass. So,
Mm.
Kentucky, you have the two really big seasons. It's brutally cold and it's brutally hot, and it's in the middle in between. A lot of ups and downs, though. But when you have glass, we started with just a pocket of a warehouse being glass. Then now you're getting day-to-day changes, diurnal shifts in temperature. It's like your car, right? It gets really hot all of a sudden really quickly. And that is a form of temperature control rapid aging where every sunset it is just beating down on those barrels and they're getting a much more rapid development.
Do you rotate?
Only on small projects. We'll rotate, I'll do if it's a discovery or a distillery only, we'll rotate, but with a 300 barrel blend, we'll just have them all aging on different places. So it's a form of rotation, right? But we'd
Mm.
never release if it was all second floor, right? That origin blend is going to have product on all kinds of different size warehouses and floors.
Mm.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
Sure.
I just had a quick question. I know you were talking about the barrel and that it dissipates. Is there ever a time on the aging that it seals up and you don't keep losing it? Because I mean, you got a 20-year bourbon, you'd think, oh, you'd have nothing left. So is there a year that the barrel will finally seal up and it stops evaporating?
If you go in the middle and you go, so the slowest part of a warehouse is going to be low and middle. So if you're going 20 years, that's where you have to be. If you're 10 years at the top, you're done. I've never tracked one to just stop, but I have opened many completely empty barrels. So I think the lifespan it just continues, right? Same as if you had water in a bucket, eventually the bucket's going to be dry, right? It just goes one way over time.
Mm.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
evaporation is remarkably different depending on if you're at the top. If you're on the top floor, proof goes up and all of it evaporates quicker. Bottom floor, slower evaporation in general, but your proof goes down because your alcohol it's escaping and your proof. I've seen 15-year bourbon stored on a low floor that has dropped beneath 80 proof and it can no longer be a whiskey.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
pretty crazy.
Tastes like
So,
dirt.
yeah, yes. We from Green River, they said they have different styles of rick houses. Some are they say clay, or I forget.
It's
They had,
really interesting. It's a it's tile. So
yeah.
Bardstown has the glass. What I love and what you'll see more and more of, and you see it exclusively on the Green River Foolproof, is the tile warehouses at Green River. So Green River, back to 1885, amazing entrepreneur, J.W. McCulloch, he built it, unfortunately passed away during Prohibition. The distillery caught fire, never really came back. He passed away. There were chances to try to revive it. It didn't really come fully revived till we're launching it now. But in the middle there, it was the Medley Distillery, and the Medley family owned tile warehouses. Now, tile has a big pocket in it, an air pocket. And what you do if you build the whole warehouse, these are one of a kind out of tile with the big space, it holds temperature. So if you go in October into a Green River warehouse, it's about 10 degrees warmer than another standard Kentucky warehouse.
Mm,
It holds the hot season. That tile is a real insulator. And
mm.
so it really a lot of heat on it, almost like a temperature control. So you'll see Green River Foolproof really leaning into that tile.
Nice. Nice. Is so I think Tyler just posted that this bottle is 39.99 at high proof.
Nice.
Yeah. Roy's doing some good
Up
stuff
on
over
that.
there.
That's awesome.
And Dan, we have a quick question from Chad and Christina. Do you have any recommendations for a cocktail to make with the Ball and Bond?
Yeah, so I always recommend more citrus forward. So whiskey sour, go to, right? Lemon, sugar, the bourbon, optional egg white, also a paper plane. This makes a gorgeous paper plane. 4 ingredients, equal parts. You can look it up. Uh, these make more citrus forward, approachable cocktails. Any spicy, aggressive, more robust cocktails do the white label.
Awesome. Great question. All right. So let's move on to our rye. This
Oh
is
yeah.
our Origin Rye.
I
This
love
is also 96 proof.
Yeah, so with our rye, and I was just at International Independent Stave Cooperage yesterday, ISC. I'm going around trying to find innovation in barrels, right? Asking, picking up the phone. And so I knew we had our 95.5 aging. There's a lot of 95.5 ryes on the market. So I found, went, asked, wasn't really having much success. But then at West Virginia Grape Barrel Company, which is next to the Greenbrier, I was leaving and an operator wrote me and he said, I'm growing cherry wood on my property and I think you would love the flavor. And I just come out and see it. And they started sending staves of cherry, little sticks of cherry, really. And was putting them in bourbon, and I loved how it tasted with our 95.5 rye. It's like this is it. This is our angle. You have an herbal green tea, mint, dill, 95.5 rye. Let's put cherry around it. The problem is that the number one job of a barrel is to hold liquid, right? Cherry wood is porous, it leaks. So we came up with a zebra barrel, alternating staves of American oak and cherry wood, and the American oak helps seal it and hold it all together. Then the other problem we had to tackle, so we got the zebra barrel that helped a lot of the leakage. They're also amazing at mapping the staves and building a really tight barrel. Is too much tannins, right? We learned there's so much tannin from the rye grain. When you put rye into new oak, so much tannin, right? Where it's
Mhm.
astringent and bitter. So they do an infrared toast. Instead of charring the barrel, you toast the barrel with infrared light. And so you extract all the vanillins and the wood sugars
Mm.
uh, without adding tannin. So this is an herbal 95.5 rye, but the finish you're going to be enveloped in cherry. It's a great sipper, makes an awesome Manhattan, and it's a really fun take on what a rye can be.
That's delicious.
And this is all your juice. You
This is
distilled.
our so it's aged 6 years in traditional American oak. Then after 6 years, it's transferred into the brand new barrel. New infrared toasted cherrywood American oak barrels, and it goes about 6 months in those cherrywood barrels to pick up that flavor. So it's a cool take on it.
So to be a bourbon, it has to be in new American oak. Does a rye have to be in new American oak as well?
Yeah, it holds all the same
Mm.
regulations for bourbon and rye. There's some real sort of blending gray areas that you can get into on rye, but for all intents and purposes, it's the same.
Mm.
Yeah, so it does the first 6 years in new American oak, just like a bourbon would. And it
So-
makes, I think, greatest Manhattan of all time with a real cherry forward vermouth. If anything with red fruit, if you want to, this can draw it out in a cool way. And then unique spice. A lot of people pick up nutmeg on this. I love it as a sipper. We also offer these if you're coming for a single barrel. To me, the killer single barrels we offer this at cask strength is just a
Oh,
flavor bomb. it's worth investigating.
Now you're
Yeah,
speaking our language.
Okay.
actually, our liquor store partner owner and I spoke today because we're coming out in April, and I said, "Hey, let's try and get another Bardstown. It always sells out." And he said, "We got to do the rye this time."
Yeah.
So
The rye is like the secret, people are just kind of hearing about these cast strength ryes
I
with the cherry finish. It's amazing.
yeah, I grabbed one in January when we were there. You had
Nice.
one in the
Gift shop.
gift shop, yeah. So I grabbed somebody's pick, I think it was, and yeah, it was. I don't think it made it home. I think we finished it on the trip.
Good man. Cool.
Awesome. So we're gonna have to cut over to Bob real quick. He's our guy that doesn't like rye. What do you think, Bob?
Actually, I'm really liking this one. It's very tasty. So I thought the high rye was good. This one's very good as well. I like this one.
Cheers, Bob. Yeah, it's a cool take on what a rye can be, is how I see it.
I
Very,
saw a really cool article about how MGP really started the 95.5 blend,
Sure.
and they gave you guys a lot of credit for taking it to the next level.
I think I'm in that article.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, okay. I remember speaking to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's kind. I remember doing that phone call, and I believe we have, right? And all the credit to MGP, the 95.5 was initially in Seagram's, right? A tool to blend with, right? If they had five whiskeys that they had laid down and they're aging, it's a different way to blend. Then once they're aged, you blend them all together. It was thought of like the herbal component. And then it caught on for cocktails. People realize it's awesome in a Sazerac. It's awesome in these cocktails, and Bullet ran with it. And
Hmm.
it was, as we were setting up the distillery, there was such a demand for 95.5 that we wanted to meet that demand for ourselves and partners. And it's just a cool recipe. And then I just wanted to differentiate ours. So we took it to, like you say, took it to the next level.
Is your production the similar to the small batch bourbon?
Yeah, good question again. So bourbon outsells rye about 14 to 1
Hmm.
by volume. So we're not at 14 to 1, but it is a little less than the bourbon, than the
Okay.
core bourbons. Yeah. It just rye just doesn't move as much as, I don't know, outside of a brand that just focuses on rye. I think everyone's rye is a lower volume.
this is very tasty.
Cheers, Bob.
All right, Dan, you mentioned music was a big influence for you. What
Yeah.
instrument?
French horn. French horn.
Okay.
My whole life I was playing, my dad's side of the family are all musicians. So I played, he was always in rock bands. So I think my rebellion against the rock band was to go play classical music.
Okay. All right.
I played in the orchestra in New Orleans and popped around a bunch of different places doing some tours and things. And then on one of those tours, met my wife who lives in Kentucky, moved up to Kentucky and did something different.
Lucky you, man. That's great.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right.
Cool. Checking.
Definitely going to have to try this in a Manhattan. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's actually my go-to bar order. If they have Origin Rye, I just ask for an Origin Rye Manhattan. It never misses.
Okay. Let's see. We're a little ahead of schedule here. Don't want
Oh,
to.
okay,
Hey,
good. I usually ramble, so I'm glad we're.
Tyler usually lets me know if people's glasses are empty or not, but I know Brian's is empty. Usually is.
I think
So,
your pacing is pretty cool. I want to ask Dan a quick question. With your
okay.
wine influence, I've noticed with a lot of the Bardstown releases, some of them are wine finishes. Does that play a role into the blending and finishing you guys are doing?
Yeah, that's a little bit where I think what I really love is keeping the integrity of the wine on the finishes, which is it's something that you don't really see in the industry. So the standard in the industry is if you do a wine finish, you rinse out the barrel before you ship it. Because if you ship a barrel that has a residual gallon of wine in the wood, you ship it from Napa on a truck on the summer. It's going all the way to Bardstown. Maybe it takes a week before, by the time it emptied and it arrives, it might have been a week in the heat. And if anyone has ever left a bottle of wine open or in the heat for a week, you're going to have vinegar, right? Red wine will turn pretty quickly. So what we do, and it's expensive to do it, but I think it carries the integrity of the flavor, is leave the residual wine in there. Don't rinse it out, but then hire a refrigerated truck to back up to the dock. We pump the barrels with argon gas, just like a Coravin. Heavy gas displaces the oxygen. Wrap them in saran wrap, put them on the refrigerated truck, drive right to our facility, and then fill them right away. So in our wine finishes, in our stout finishes, you'll get a lot of the character, whether it's the silver oak that just came out or the Goose Island. They are certain they're going to show the true character. And with I just like that. I remember we did Carter Cellars from Napa, and when those barrels, you could have, I tasted the wine out of the bung, and it was like a glass of Cabernet. It was vibrant, just awesome. Yeah.
That's incredible, the dedication you guys put towards. I mean, that's a lot of expense, and
Yeah.
I think it shows.
It's easier to do the high ABV finishes, right? And then you can go international on them. A rum finish, you don't have to use the refrigeration or anything. But if you're doing beer or wine, anything low ABV, you're gonna have to do it the right way.
Yeah, we found these.
Oh, the Carter.
Yeah,
Yes.
in
Amazing.
at John O's in Elizabethtown,
Wow. Yeah,
and
Mark.
he had them priced very nicely. So
Awesome.
we grabbed all of them.
There was
And
only 10 barrels total of that release.
oh wow, I got 2 bottles. Somebody else got 4. Again, I think half of them didn't make it back home.
That's cool.
We opened them there, and they were fantastic.
That's awesome. Some people don't realize too, on the decoration on the back, that's the old Carter symbol. So it really is Carter Cellars, old Carter,
Yep.
Bardstown, all kind of coming
Hearts.
together. And that was Mark and Sherry on that. We did that in their living room, and I just had a blast with both of them.
All
And then
right.
I would say one person shout out, Brandon Smith from our team, who does all our activations. West Coast guy himself, San Diego, is a part of so many of those. He was at that kitchen table too and was just really instrumental in that release.
All right. Our fourth pour is going to be our Origan Wheated, our 106 proof. I believe it's a 4-year.
6 year. All the Origin are 6
year.
years.
You're right. 6-year.
Yep.
Released 2018.
Great. So this is a fun one for 2 reasons. The first being lower barrel entry proof, which is often misunderstood. The best way I've found to describe it is if tonight you went to make a chili, right? And or say you started this morning on a chili, and all you did was you put your meat and your vegetables and your spices in a pot and you cooked it all together. You let it sit all day, and right before you serve it, so it comes time to serve it, you scoop the chili, your meat, vegetables, and spices in a bowl, and then pour hot water over it and serve it, right? It would not work. You would not have a chili. No one would be happy. But that comparison is what happens in the bourbon industry a lot, where it comes off the still directly into the barrel, ages and marinates with the wood, and then right before you bottle, you add a bunch of water. You're going 120 down to 80, really thins out the profile immediately. When you do low barrel entry proof, you're coming out off the still, you're adding your water first before you go into the barrel, then going in. The reason it doesn't happen often is you have to buy a lot more barrels. It's expensive. But with this product, we experimented all the way down to 100 proof, barrel entry proof. With all of them, we're experimenting. But with this one, we really found that with the high wheat character, low barrel entry proof, into the barrel, 107, released at 106, just made for a rich, round flavor. It's the highest wheated bourbon in the state of Kentucky. 53 corn, 39% wheat, 8% barley.
I was going to say it does have a different mash bill than the bottle and bond, and a very, very different nose. Side by side. It's like
it's great
very
to do
different
side by side. We call this one our high wheat bourbon. And we didn't start distilling this till 2018. It was just an experiment. Nick Smith, our director of distillation, Steve Nally was gone for the weekend, and I think he was playing around and had this recipe. And when Steve came back, he blinded him on the distillate, said, "Which one do you prefer?" And Steve picked this one. And the rest is history.
So since you put it in at 107 and then bottle at 106, you obviously have to blend barrels from the different points of the warehouse to get there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so the one coming up about a year from now, some of the barrels are hitting low. They're a little low. So when I said we don't rotate, we're making an exception. We're getting
Okay.
those barrels up high now because if they're living their life and then they drop down, there's nothing you can do. You got to naturally get them up. So next, the release a year from now, the team right now is moving those barrels up to high floors to get the proof back up. But it's just something we continue to monitor because
Um,
you don't have much wiggle room if your entry proof is your bottling proof.
Right.
you mentioned that you wanted to have a very consistent profile. Are you aiming for the same 106 proof every year for this?
Yeah, for this, absolutely, because it's a core product that you set up with distributors in stores. It's evergreen, right? So
Hmm.
it just needs to be 106 proof with this. On the one-offs, maybe we would do a handwritten printer, a one-time change the proof. A single barrel, we would do cast strength, but as a core product, it's always going to be 106. And I always do this one last of the four core. So that we just tasted our four core, the white label, the
Hmm.
black label, the rye, and the high wheat. I love closing with the high wheat because it is kind of the largest, roundest one. MSRP also on this is $49.99. So it's still tremendous value.
All right. Yeah, it's delicious. There's a lot of like what is it? A vanilla like a vanilla root beer, like not a root beer, but it's vanilla soda or cola.
Cool.
A
Yeah,
cream soda, that's what I'm trying to say.
cream soda.
Yeah.
The creaminess to me, it obviously could come from the wood, but always, especially the mouthfeel, there's a creaminess in wheat where some people will call out like cream of wheat, on
Hmm.
something. Um, it really impacts the texture and the flavor, especially at 39%.
Hmm. Tyler, did you see if this was available at high proof?
I actually don't see it right now in stock.
This one is a little smaller volume because it started as an experiment and then we're growing it. It kind of had a 2-year delay from the others. It'll be a little tricky to find for the next year, and then we'll get more of it. So yeah, all four of those, I saw the question, all four that we just tasted comprise the Origan series. So 100% grain to glass, estate distilled, aged, bottled Origin
Hmm.
series. And they all hover between, call it 39.99 and 49.99.
So Dan, a quick question about what's the difference between this versus the Green River Wheated?
The Green River Wheated would be closer in flavor profile to the Bottle and Bond. The Green River Wheated is 70% corn, 21% wheat, 9% barley. The Green River Wheated is also 90 proof. To me, out of the whole Lofted Spirits portfolio, the Green River Wheated is the most approachable bourbon. It's the
Hmm.
easiest drinking. It's always like orangey, easy with caramel, smooth finish. If there was ever just a relaxing sipper in the Lofted Spirits umbrella, it's that one.
I think this wheated is really delicious. It's very, very easy to drink. I think if somebody is new to bourbon, this might be a great like place to kind of start because you're not getting challenged with a lot of big spice. It's very sweet, creamy, and I like this.
Hey, cheers. Yeah, I really like it too. I mean, for being 106 proof, it's
Hmm.
really round and balanced, and the distillation team just did such a good job with this profile.
All right.
Oh, we did the core.
We did. So So normally, like I said earlier, we try to include our barrel picks in these virtuals, but
Yeah.
it's sold out. So I reached out to your team, and Brandon, our ambassador out here, he was like, hey, we need to get you something that is available at the distillery only. So our fifth pour is our single barrel Prestige Worldwide. This is 120 proof. So this is something that is only available at your distillery.
Awesome.
And so we're really excited to try this. This is special that we can't get if we're not there. So
I'm going to guess
It's
that is
four
from
grain, right?
the Louisville tasting room team, if I had to guess.
okay.
They usually come and do some picks and they have some fun names. I'm going to pin that on them as a Prestige Worldwide, one of their barrels. They have some good ones. Now it should say on the front label the warehouse and the floor, just out of curiosity.
So it says mash bill 60 26 10 4,
Oh, cool.
6 year,
Yeah. All right.
120 proof. And you said the floor.
So this is not our white label single barrel. This, you really did get a one-off.
Yeah, this is the 4 grain, right?
This is the
Mm-hmm.
4 grain. This is
Probably
really
can't see it very
rare.
well.
There are hardly any
No,
of these. And
nothing.
since it's a different mash bill, there's not room for the rickhouse floor.
Mm.
This is very limited 4 grain recipe. This is one of my favorite. We were really debating whether or not to make this release part of the core portfolio. Still playing around with what to do with it. We just love the distillate. It pops up every now and then in single barrels, but it's a true 4 grain. So you're getting 26% of it rye, then 10% that round wheat supporting everything else, 4% barley. I'm seeing some good jokes in the Prestige
This one's
Worldwide.
The
this
cattle
one's
in a wine
nice.
mixer.
This one's really nice.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad you got that. That's those are hard to find.
Dan, how many cue cards did you have to flash through to get all 67 recipes memorized? It seems like you're just sharp as a tack when it comes to this one's this proof, this one's this proof.
I live it, you know. So we have, we make about 65 recipes a year, but that's annual, right? And sometimes they change. So when I pull up my spreadsheet, there's a couple hundred lines of recipes on there. And then you add both brands in there. It's a good bit to keep track of.
This is delicious. Really sweet forward, very complex. Nice spice build to it.
Yeah, those 4 grain, those would have been handpicked as separated from the mix because we had some inventory on them and we were thinking of aging them as a core product. They would have gone through and said, "Hey, I want this one." So you're drinking the good stuff now.
There's a little bit of like anise on the very end of it too. It's really interesting. So one of the guys following tonight is Scott, and he comes over to my house occasionally. And he always says that, I kind of challenge him with some of the high proof stuff. So Scott, 120 proof. What do you think of this one? See if he passed out already.
The 120 proof got them.
Yep.
It happens.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah, this is delicious.
This tastes pretty good, but I still am voting for the other numbers 2 and 3. I think I like.
Nice.
Yes, Jay is always challenging me on those.
Well, that's part of the fun of coming to the distillery too, is they usually have something out that you can only get there. And it's just fun to pop in and see whether it's the tasting room or down in Bardstown, see what's out on the shelf.
And if you guys haven't been to Bardstown Distillery, it is gorgeous. It looks like a Napa winery. It's so beautiful there. You go to a lot of the older ones and it looks like, obviously it's been there forever, but you guys look really modern, really nice, and your tasting room is beautiful.
I completely agree, and you've just got to see it in person. And it goes back to what I started with, where it was an intentional decision to build in Bardstown, right? And be surrounded by all the history and tradition, but then bring a modern take We really built a lot of our brand through our hospitality program. So
Hmm.
when you come on site, we're gonna show you a good time.
Just be warned that they're usually closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, right?
Yep, you can always kind of knock on the door. Someone will let you in, and you can peek your head around or go into retail. But the tours and restaurant are closed on Monday, Tuesday.
We made that mistake a couple times.
Yeah, if I'm there, I'll show you around.
Perfect.
Dan, a question from Joseph in the chat. What's the highest proof you guys have done?
Yeah, so it would come from a single barrel. I've seen 138. Um, I have not seen one in the 140s. I think that would take another year or two, but we're getting there. It's just if you're up on the seventh floor for enough time, it would go. We don't really go into barrel at 125. So we that's the highest you're legally allowed to go into barrel and be a bourbon is 125. And we don't normally go in that high just for that same thing of low entry proof, but we have a few that are starting to get up close to 140.
Do you have any interest in, pardon me for taking another question, for doing like a quote unquote hazmat release or a super high proof like cask strength releases?
Yeah, I think you'll see them. I think that I love that for the enthusiasts, right? I think there is something about I know people give you a hard time if you like high proof sometimes, but it is fun if you're with your bourbon friends and you're going and you have the hazmat one and taste it. I think that's a unique, fun experience in bourbon, and we probably wouldn't do a national release at a hazmat, but maybe a special single barrel, and people can come in and try it, and it's part of that is fun to me.
Hmm. There was a question, is this considered Origin Series?
No, because it's not. It's a single barrel.
Hmm.
If we released it, it would be an Origin Series because it's 100% grain to glass. We're getting to a point though to clarify where in the near future we're probably gonna or we're gonna drop the terminology Origin Series because we don't really need it anymore.
Yeah.
We really needed it when we had Fusion and Discovery because we needed to say, hey, this is different. We really distilled this over sourcing it. Now it's everywhere. We're distilling, it's very common for us to use our own distillate. So we just don't want to overcomplicate things. It'll just be a Bardstown Bourbon Company bourbon. And we're
So
making a transition now.
is Fusion going to be is gone?
Fusion's retired. Fusion could come back in 3 more years, maybe, but it would when it comes back, it'll only be our stuff. I love the idea of a young bourbon with an old bourbon, a 2 and a 10, a 3 and a 11. That's really fun. I want it to be all ours, though. We're trying to get out of sourcing bourbon in over the next 3 years, right? When our stuff is coming older and we have that 10, 12 year age profile, then it'll be 100% distilled by Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Even
Mm.
on the Discovery
So
series?
maybe 5, 6 years from now, we might add if there's a profile that we don't have in our arsenal. I'm not against sourcing it, but I think you'll see the percentage of our stuff in the profile start to go up.
How many barrels do you think you have currently?
About 1 million, right? Hovering around 1 million right now, give or
How many
take.
how many you produce in a day?
Depends. 800 roughly.
Jeez. Wow.
So if you
Yeah.
do 62 different blends or mash bills,
Yeah.
recipes, how many stills and because don't you have to clean the still completely after you do one
You can
recipe?
run. So Nick Smith, the director of distillation, he does a really great job with this, where the fermenters are completely separate, and he'll stack the recipes where one will run behind another, right? And you'll reduce the overlap, but it does get completely cleaned, washed with caustic, weekly to keep, number one is keep things clean, but he will run recipes adjacent to one another to keep it moving. And the distillery was built to be that way and be flexible from day one. That's how it was designed by Busick Construction, is a distillery that could pivot and do different recipes.
Hmm.
Cool.
So our sixth pour is the Ferrand. This is a cognac finish, 111.8 proof. Todd has the bottle there.
Awesome. So this is our so we touched on the Origin series. We were talking about discovery, which is the art of blending and putting all these disparate components together to find a final product that's better than any of the individual pieces. The collaborative series is probably the most fun I have at work, right? It's partnering with brands that I'm excited about, that we share their values to create something special. I will tell you, I set up almost all the collaborations through Instagram. There's no lawyer, there's no contract, there's no money. It's co-branded, right? So on that bottle, we'll have the Ferrand name, we'll have their logo. They can release something. They did 1998 rum finish with our liquid, right? And that's fine. And it's just a way to celebrate each brand. This is a cognac finish. So the barrels were shipped from France to Bardstown, filled with a blend, aged a few different places in the warehouse. The larger barrels, these larger cognac barrels, they have to go in the hallway, which is I love Carrie Hutchins, who does all our barrel management. I have to kind of sweet talk her. She's amazing though, but she coordinates where these can go in the hallway, where the barrels in that floor of the rick probably aren't coming out anytime soon, because otherwise you would have to push them out of the way and go. And she negotiates that so well. So they lived on site and then came out with this one. It was in the Whiskey Advocate top 20. I think it was 11th top whiskey of the year this year, just released, and very high up for a bourbon. A lot of the high ones were ryes and scotches. Did very well, and I just love the balance. It's a three-way seesaw. It kind of has the bourbon notes, the rye notes, and then that cognac comes through. There's a nuttiness in there too that I really think complements the apple of the grape. So the cognac sits on top, and then there's this nutty bourbon flavor underneath it.
It's really interesting, very complex, so many layers of flavors on that.
Yeah. And that's
How
with the collaborative series, that it is layered, right? And it kind of unpacks in the glass in a cool way.
mhm. So how large is the cognac barrel?
They vary. 400 liter, 59 gallon can be standard, but we've had barrels that are over they're 104 gallons, right?
Wow.
104 gallon massive barrels. This, could barely put your arms around it. When we did Armagnac, which is another brandy, these barrels, they never leave. They can be 100 years old, and the distilleries just refill them. In the case in Armagnac, they had built their facility around the barrels and remodeled. When we wanted the barrels, they wanted to partner, but they couldn't, there was no door to get them out. So they had to cut a hole in we have pictures, they cut a hole in the roof and lifted them up and out.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. So they can be very large.
We've been in some rick houses where you look over and you see this large barrel out of nowhere. You're like, what the heck is that? And that's the
Yeah,
cognac barrel that they're talking about.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
it
And
looks definitely like an ostrich egg compared to all the other ones.
yeah, very noticeable. So storage, think about your barrel coordinate. When I go back to team and working together to put these products out, just storing the barrels is sometimes a big lift.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so we're kind of one thing we're really pushing is this global approach to whiskey, right? Not the core will always be the core, right? That is just some fantastic special bourbon and rye, but seeing what we can do globally, we did the Amrut, first ever American whiskey finished in Indian whiskey barrels. We just sent distillate to Korea, looking at some new Caribbean finishes, Scottish whiskey. Champagne is one that we're targeting. We're just really trying to see where we can take bourbon on these small explorations. It started out where Bardstown Bourbon Company, that was the core. The discovery, the collab was the core, and we were waiting on the origin. Now our heart and soul is this core origin, and the little experiments are around it, and that's kind of the nowhere we won't go and continue to push. But we have this core of great bourbon and rye to lean on.
So Dan, of the collab series, How many do you do that you're like, yeah, that's not going to work
A
before you
few,
pick
yeah, it
one?
happens. Hopefully you don't get too far down the road. It's certainly happened. Hopefully, they all start by experimenting with on a small scale, dumping this into this to see what will work. Sometimes they'll go sideways once you have the barrels, and you just have to figure it out because you can't really plan for how the barrel might develop. But usually by the time we're putting the bourbon in the barrel, we have a solid foundation of what's going to happen and how to track it.
How long are you aging it in the cognac barrel?
The first time we did a cognac, we did 7 months. I think this one went around 17 months, and it just depends on the seasonality and the flavor. We did a wine finish that went 36 months, and a lot of that is how much residual flavor is in the wood, which you can't really dictate that. Comes down to how they empty it, how they stored, if their barrels were dried out. You just have to work with the wood you have and different extraction periods in different climates and different locations lead to the set time.
So unfortunately, you have to go taste them frequently.
Tough gig, right? Well, when you guys come, let's go. We can get the drill out.
Excellent.
We'll do some
Excellent.
of these 104-gallon big boys that are aging.
Hey,
Yes.
Dan, you want to give us a hint on Disco 14?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I was working on it today. Uh, I don't have anything meaningful I can share. I can tell you the collab. I saw someone in the chat asked about a certain style of collab. I'll tell you that'll be the big collaboration next year. They nailed it. Um, Disco 14 has a wrinkle on it. It's a wood aging wrinkle. I love where it's going. I'm very excited for it. It'll be out in August.
Okay.
Ooh. All right. So we're seeing people ranking the order of they preferred, but five's coming in pretty high. Six is my favorite. It's pretty wide variety of favorites, which is kind of fun. You're making bourbon that hits everybody's palates.
Yeah, that's so true. And that goes when you walk in the gift shop, there's going to be 10 different bottles in there and different people will gravitate towards different ones. And then also from collab to collab or disco to disco, certain ones will hit different people. I encourage everyone really blind taste the discos and you'll have a different opinion than your friend, right? They each have their own personality and that's what makes them fun and creative to me. We're not trying to just repeat the same flavor year after year.
That's awesome. All right, Tyler, do we want to open up the chat, see what questions are out there?
Sure. One of the questions I saw from Joseph, would you guys do a collab with a Scottish/Irish distillery?
Yeah, I saw that pop up, and that was the question that I said maybe was very close to what might be coming out next year.
Very
You
cool.
nailed it.
Apparently, it better not be peated, or one guy's not buying it.
I can safely say it's not peated.
Scott's girlfriend made him ask that question.
It's very delicious though. It's in barrel as we speak.
Very fun.
And that would be, you said, August release?
Yeah, and I just August there, and then Japanese whiskey. I was just in Japan a few months ago. We're working on something, a first for whiskey, never been done before. That's going to be very cool. You'll see that around May, with Japanese whiskey. It's in the works. It's going to be amazing. If you go on my Instagram, you can see which Japanese. I'll tell you, you can see which company I was hanging out with is Mars Japanese Whiskey, and they have distilleries in the Japanese Alps, and then way down in the south in Kyushu Island, just where that volcano went off. It's small, and yeah, that one's going to be special. It's coming soon.
So Dan, I'm going to send you an email, and
Okay.
we have a newsletter that comes out quarterly. So we'll get
Awesome.
your Disco 14 release date of August, and anything else you want to drop in there, let me know, and we'll put it in the newsletter so people see it coming.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, that would be great, Jay. I appreciate that. Cool.
Jonathan, if you want to get the newsletter, we just need your email. You send it to Tyler. His home phone number is not me. No. So yeah, you can go ahead. Tyler will collect the emails. But if you're coming to the bottle kill on Saturday, I'll have a sign up for that. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, I just want to, any other questions, please let me know. But geez, I love tasting whiskey and meeting new people. And I hope next time on the West Coast we can connect, or please hit me up if you make it to Kentucky. And if you want to hear or see anything with Bardstown or Green River, we're doing some really cool things with an awesome team. And it means the world that you're able to, yeah, there's a million things going on. To hang out on this stream and have some bourbon together is just a special thing. So thank you.
No,
Totally
thank
appreciate
you.
having you.
Appreciate you, and hopefully, yeah, in April we'll be back out and we'll do a Bardstown pick, and maybe we can get another Green River Wheated since the
There you go.
distributor lost half our barrel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fell off
So
the truck.
well, yeah, somehow they disappeared, but so our members didn't get to get as many as they liked, but
Yeah, well, let's
hopefully
run.
next year we'll get another one.
That'd be awesome. Awesome. Well,
Thanks,
cheers,
Dan.
guys.
Appreciate it.
All right. So take care, Dan. We're gonna keep everything open here, but thank you, Dan. You're on the East Coast. We'll let you get to bed. So thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.
Appreciate you.
All
See
right.
you soon.
Bye.
All right, we're gonna stop the recording now.